the midway point of the NBA season. I am your host, Carl Coulange, for the Sports Hit List. Today's topic is NBA MVP. And you guys have your predictions as who so far for the first half of the season is the MVP. Let me introduce the panel. Anthony, it's always a pleasure. Ziggs, the hat on set. Yeah. First man with the hat on set. The styling, man. I like it. I like it. Mike Miller.
My man.
All right. And Kenny Irby.
Yes, sir.
Co-host on Thursdays for the show. Check it out on SoundCloud, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, you got to do it. You got to plug. So, guys, the MVP. Two candidates really lead it. I want to say three. We have Steph Curry leading with the Golden State Warriors. Depends on who you're asking, right. But so far, in my opinion, we have three candidates potentially for the MVP. Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors, James Harden of the Houston Rockets, and LeBron James of the Cleveland Cavaliers. In your opinion, who do you have as the leading candidate?
I have James Harden. Right now, I mean, it's close between him and Steph, but right now, my main argument for why he's the MVP is because Dwight's missed like 20-plus games. They're still a top 5 team in the West. He's leading the league in scoring. He has to do everything for that team. He's also averaging 7 assists, 6 rebounds. To me, he's the clear MVP right now.
Kenny.
That's a great argument, and he almost convinced me, except for Harden had like 9 points the other night, which is, for this thing, the halfway mark, I have to give it up to Steph. That gives him back the lead. It's kind of, to me, it's a two-man race between him and Steph. And because Harden had that 9 points the other night, Steph creeps back into the lead, even though he got Clay, and he makes a strong argument about Harden has to do more work by himself. He doesn't really have the help. I mean, Josh Smith has come on. He's done all right, but Dwight Howard is missing. So I have to give it, it's neck and neck between Steph.
So, but if you really had to select one.
Right now, I have to give it to Steph because his team's #1 right now. They got like a 6-8 game, something like 6-game lead on everybody. So.
Okay. Anthony?
Me? Well, first.
Please don't say Kobe.
No. He would have been if he wouldn't have got injured. But being that he got injured,
okay.
Hindered another MVP. We know how that goes. But me personally, I don't vote for MVP based on how the standard is, as far as is what your team does. To me, the MVP means MVP, most valuable player. So to me, the most valuable player so far has been Anthony Davis.
So you think Anthony Davis? So okay, so would you care to explain that?
Definitely. Right now, he has one of the highest ever PER. Ever. That's Wilt, Jordan, ever.
What does that stand for?
Player efficiency rating, which,
that's cute.
Breaks down everything in your game.
Okay.
Okay. He also leads the league in win shares for 48 minutes, which tells me he helps his team win the most out of everybody.
So what you're saying is that you use.
Question.
So wait, you use analytics. You use analytics to determine your MVP. Is that what you're saying?
Not just analytics, but when I look at those numbers, you can't deny them.
Which are analytics, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you use analytics to make
not just analytics, but yes, I do.
I want to take my vote to Carmelo Anthony.
Okay, hold on 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Wait, guys, we got to get to Zig. Zig.
It's definitely not AD. I didn't pick him at all. It's definitely right now a two-man race between James Harden and Steph Curry. LeBron James, to me, is not even in the picture. He's 5th in the Eastern Conference, so you don't get any points for that. As well as Mike said, Kyrie has been putting in work as well, so we just can't put it all on LeBron. Let's not forget Kevin Love is also there, so he has help.
Okay.
My pick is James Harden, and you guys know how I feel about James Harden.
How do you feel about James Harden?
I don't like James Harden. I'm not one of his biggest fans.
Why,
I think he's one. I'm not gonna go into it, but anyway, like Mike said, he's doing everything for that team. 27, 6, 5 rebounds a game, 7 assists a game, 2 steals a game. If you look on that roster, there's nobody else other than Dwight Howard, and you can't even count him because he hasn't been playing. There's nobody else on that team that's averaging above 12 points. He's doing everything by himself. So James Harden. Now I went with Steph Curry earlier in the season, but James Harden has been doing everything by himself.
Would you say that the Rockets are 3rd right now in the West? And
the Rockets are 4th.
The 4th, excuse me. They're 4th. But with that could change. With one loss, they can drop down.
Exactly.
Does the seeding matter in the MVP? I mean, and to Anthony's point,
to a degree.
No, not to me.
Historically, in the last 30 years,
I don't go by
wins
what the standard is.
You don't go by the standard.
My whole thing with him and his standard, and Kenny had a great question for him. Why don't you ask him that?
Go ahead.
How many wins does Anthony Davis' team have?
Because he's talking about win shares per 48 minutes.
Yeah.
How many? But if he has 5 wins, who cares? That's the point. How many wins?
Well,
does
he
have?
doesn't have 5 wins.
So how many wins does
Just to
the
be
team have?
exact, I'm not sure exactly.
Oh, they're not in the playoffs. They're not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So who cares?
No, but they in the Western Conference and they have.
Western Conference.
They're in the
Western Conference
8th.
that-
They're in the race for
What
the
is,
8th
does that
spot.
not mean anything?
Are they
Not in
in?
the sense that everybody who's in the Western Conference is in the Western Conference.
That which means they're in the harder
That means,
conference.
yeah, James Harden's in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Steph Curry's in the
With
Western
a better
Conference.
team.
What better
With a
team?
better
Zig, you have a
right?
point.
I was gonna say this. Somebody said, I don't know which one of you guys said it. Historically, 1 or 2.
30
top 2
years.
teams.
In the 30 years.
The last time somebody from the 3rd seed in the playoffs was the MVP was Michael Jordan. That was, I believe, 1987
Or 80, he won the 88 MVP.
One of those,
Right.
one of those years. So it's definitely a continuing trend. So I can't see Anthony Davis at all being 8th or even coming
But
in
why
7th.
continue?
One
the
thing,
trend.
but you see, for me, for the MVP, I always say this: take that player off the team. Where does that team? Where is that team at that given moment? So if you took Anthony Davis off the Pelicans, where are they?
Okay, here's the answer. With Anthony Davis, they're not a playoff team. Without Anthony Davis, they're not a playoff team. So who cares? Who cares?
That's not true. They can still make the playoffs.
Are they in the playoff? If the playoffs started today, would they make it?
It doesn't
We're talking
start
about
today.
the MVP right now.
Yeah.
So we have to
me,
consider.
team doesn't. Again, you're talking to somebody who doesn't value your team stats.
DeMarcus Cousins
wins
is
and
MVP
losses.
too, right?
No,
Why?
because of everything
25
else.
and 10.
No, he's not even the best big man in the game.
He's
Who's the
averaging
best big
25.
man in the game?
Anthony Davis. Like what? Like
But
Like,
DeMarcus Cousins
come
got the
on.
same type of numbers. So why is he
Right.
not the MVP?
What's
What?
his PER?
who?
DeMarcus Cousins.
I can look it up for you, but it's
Oh,
not
so
high
yeah,
there.
so
It's
yeah, you
not
do the
31
research.
points.
You say you use analytics, right?
I use the games,
numbers.
and then yeah.
Right. So that's considered
And I see,
analytics.
yeah.
So
PER is not the end all be all.
Yes, it
Hassan
is.
Whiteside is
Actually,
number
it
six.
is.
let him finish. Let him
Hassan
finish.
Whiteside is number 6 in PER. LaMarcus Aldridge is 15.
Again,
Who you picking?
certain people are supposed to be ranked
Okay.
depending on if you've passed certain thresholds.
Wrap up
Jamal.
this segment in terms of NBA MVP. What does it really come down to in the end when they select the MVP? What is it going to come down to this year?
To me, I mean, historically, it's come down to where their team finishes. They're in the top 2 seeds. So that's what it's going to come down to. How they're the best player on one of the best teams in the game.
So, looking at James Harden now that they're 4th, so clearly right now it would be Steph, technically.
I think that would be the tiebreaker.
I think that it's typically a combination of both. You still have to have the numbers and you have to have the team record, but there's also another little wrinkle, and that's signature performances. Like when Derrick Rose won MVP, there were many players with better numbers than him. Just because his team was number 1 wasn't the reason. It's because he had signature moments, like TNT games when he's playing against LeBron and them, and he scores 30. These are signature moments that the voters take into consideration. So I think James Harden can still win despite not having that number 1 seed if he has those signature moments. Like last week when he had back-to-back 40-point games, people are going to pay attention to that, and then that'll sway the votes.
Final point of what
Well,
does
I-
it really come down to for the
I know
MVP?
what it's going to come down to. It's going to historically come down to team performance, and then of course the generic numbers of, your points, assists, and rebounds, and maybe your steals or something. And then more than likely it'll either be Steph. I'll just right now going by the generic grading. I'll say Steph right now is the MVP, with closely coming Harden. I'll say that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the season. But to me, the best player right now playing in the NBA is Anthony Davis, all around.
Ziggs?
Well, you have to have the numbers and you have to have the wins. Steph and James Harden have that. That's why I have them as the top 2 right now. Steph Curry is the number 1 candidate. I think James Harden. It's confusing right now. With all the back and
Anthony,
forth,
right?
But to me, James Harden should win it. Personally, he's doing everything, but Steph is number 1. If James Harden can get into top 3 in the Western Conference, he'll win it.
All right. That'll do it for the Sports Hit List segment here about the NBA MVP. We'll use analytics for our next debate if we ever have to. Again, please don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Twitter.
Ever.
Please don't forget to check us out on all social media sites. We'll see you next time.